Morning all, hope everyone's keeping well. I'm now back on the beach again for another session down Caister. I'm now fishing the last 3 hours of the ebb. Give that a go. Hopefully that'll all be good, and it'd be nice to get another little codling. I don't think I did. I thought it was more luck than anything because they're so few and far between, but we can all hope. Let's hope there's a few dabs, a few whiting. If there is a unicorn, that's got to be considered a bonus because they're so far and few between now. I think it's more luck than judgment catching them now, unfortunately, but we'll see. Let's hope you have a good session. Bait wise, I'm using the usual. I got salted prawns, salted mackerel. That's the old bit of fresh mackerel I had from the last trip that I didn't do very good with, but I've got some of the salted mackerel I caught myself in the summer. And then when I went in the boat the other day, I saved a few herring. I actually froze them. I just defrosted them since last night, so we'll have alternate baits of herring, salted prawns and mackerel. Give that a crack. I've done alright for the last few trips. Let's see what it do today. Well, there's a lot of wind today. That's blowing westerly, 20 gusting to about 35, 40. You can see the windmills are going around well, but with the old beach buddy up, that is an original John Holden green beach buddy. It must be 35 years old. I did buy a black one when I was 16 years old, or probably 14 years old, from Gusting Tackle, but this green one's older than that. But it's a cracking day today. If you're behind the beach buddy, you're out of the wind, and that's lovely. The sun feels ever so warm out of the wind, but you can't complain about that for a day, as long as it doesn't rain and a bit of sun to keep you warm. It's bloody lovely. Well, we're hoping we can get a lot of weed today. If you look along the beach, there's quite a lot of weed. But that's changed. That was that red weed, what you get from when you get a big bit of north up North Norfolk. And that knocked that red weed off the old chalk reef and bring it down here. But this is that brown frilly stuff. That isn't actually a weed. That isn't a plant. That's actually an organism. That isn't actually a weed at all. It's actually a living organism. It's a bit odd because it looked like weed and feel like weed, but actually strange stuff. Well, rig wise, that's very basic stuff. I just got a 2-hook flapper, a size 1 hooks on it again. That's ideal scratching rig for this time of year. You're basically after whiting and dabs down here on this beach at Caister. If anything else come along, it's a bit of a bonus, but just a basic rig, simple to tie, a few crimps, a couple of beads, a few swivels, and that'll do everything you really need. Unless you're after big fish, that's perfectly good enough. But then again, in the past I caught plenty of codling on up to about £5 on 2-hook flappers. They're just an all round general use rig. Well, that's not a very good start. Only cast that about 30 yards out when you've got loads of weed on the trace and a bit on the hook baits. So you're out there about 15 minutes. That ain't a very good start at all. Well, I say weed, it's not weed, it's an organism, as I said earlier, but that's not a good start from 30 yards out. Let's hope that eases off when the tide eases. I need to hope, because that's going to be a nightmare if that get any worse. Well, second cast in and first blood. Got a little dab on the bottom hook on salted mackerel. It's nice to get your first fish in it. The first one is the ones that count. So that avoid a blank, and all the fish afterwards are a bonus. Well, I'll just unhook him and get him back. He's a thin old thing, really. It's a lot of feed for him at the minute, and all these dabs are thin, poor old buggers. Well, I'll unhook him, get him back, and then bait up again and give it another go. Let's hope we get a bit more, or a little bit bigger dab. Do you look at pan fried dabs? Bloody lovely to eat. So underrated as a fish. Well, it seemed like I got a pet seagull. At least he's feeding well. Chuck him a bit of bait and he's everyone's best friend. Look at that. Dump, gone. They don't mess about, do they? They are hungry little buggers. Can't blame them though. It's got to be a hard old life being a gull round here, isn't it? Well, that's plenty of weed on the trace. Might have to start doing ultra short fishing. That's about 30 yards out. move that right in the breakers. 15-20 yards, trying to avoid that. See how it goes, that might pay off. Just trial and error on a scratching day like this. There doesn't seem a lot of fish there today, but you just got to try. If you didn't try different distances, you never find out. The last few trips I've been fishing down here has all been maybe 25-yard work because of the weed. And that has paid off. I've had plenty of fish right. Apart from one little codling, some little old dabs and whiting, but if you expect that in here, you'd be sorely disappointed. Well, the rod tips are doing them slow, long, heavy lunges. That's a sure indication there's plenty of weed on the gear, because there isn't no swell there really. There's a little bit, but not much. But them long, low lunges bobbing up and down, that's just telling you that's full up of weed. Hopefully that weed will die down when that tide eases. We can only hope. That may be a weed fest, but it's got a double shot of whiting. I'm pretty happy about that. I've only ever one dab. So they keep a little flighty whiting. Really make your hopes up a little. After seeing all that weed, I thought they're not going to get anything, but keep a little white on a double shot. I'm happy with that. I'll get these back and rebait up again. They are full of weed. I've got weed around the hooks, around the mouths. God, there's tons of it. It's only been out about 10 minutes of that. You've got to be keen to fish like this. Look at that, massive slug of weed. That's the same on my age as well, but there's a little white amongst it. So I get that unhooked and get it back and get that bloody weed off. That's a nightmare. Well, there's definitely a few fish here, a few dabs and whiting. But when you're fishing like this with all this weed, they are hard won. You can understand why a lot of people give up, pack up and go home. Because each fish, when you're reeling that much weed, that's hard work, isn't it? That's not comfortable fishing really. But that's how it go. Part and parcel of sea fishing on this part of the coast. As soon as you get a little bit of northerly, I push all the weed from North and Norfolk down here, and it just sit here for weeks at a time. But I've never had it this bad in a long while. But there's been a bit of a northerly roll in the water the last few days, so hopefully give it a few more days and that'll clear. But we have seen a lot of weed in the nets in the boat. That's like someone's in 40 foot of water and getting that. When you fish the nets, and you fish about 15 foot deep, so the weeds all the way through the column. If you look on my fish finder video, on the fishing videos, you can see all the weed in the water, tons of it. Well, the weed's got so bad now, there's a couple of foot of weed on the lead and not a couple of foot of lead on the top of the trace. Everything's covered, so I've gone desperate measures now. I just put the right hand rod, must be 10 yards out max, try and avoid it. There's a few fish there, but they can't get to it when everything's covered in weed. That's just impossible. Let's see how this goes. Attempt number 126, trying to avoid weed. That is a weed twist. It's starting to get near the round one fishing. Just a bit, you can live with it. But it's now the last time I'm tired of it. It's got these off. Let this go in. With the amount of weed, that's really desperate times. They must be no more than about 5-6 yards out the baits now. I'm virtually dropping them. That really is a weed fest. There can't be that much tide left now. We'll see what I'll do with a slack or the first of the flood if I stay that long. That's not real. You're not fishing efficiently when there's this much weed here. That's just a weed fest. Really, really badly. Well, fishing 5 yards out didn't work. There's going to be a lot of that brown frilly stuff right in the breakers and the red weed further out. So if you don't get your rod tips, keep the line out of the breakers, that's filling up with that frilly stuff instead of the red. So you're damned if you do, damned if you don't really. We've got about another 45 minutes left of the tide. Hopefully that'll ease off any minute. I think that's wishful thinking from my part really. I don't think that will, but you got to give it to the tide, don't you? as a given. Well, it's now about 20 minutes before low water. I just packed up. There's just so much weed, and the whole gear was covered in about five minutes. Not even that. You weren't going to catch anything in it. I've just been weeded out. That is part and parcel of fishing, unfortunately. But I'll give it a good go. The last hour and a half has been horrendous weed. You weren't fishing really. All hook baits and everything was totally smothered within minutes. You can't catch them every day. It's part and parcel of sea fishing really, but I've enjoyed it. Get a bit of fresh air for a couple of hours. Hope you enjoy watching it, boys and girls, and if you could please like and subscribe, that'd be very much appreciated. Thank you again. Bye.